Good day. This is a covered button shirt. Today I'll be showing you how to cut a covered button shirt. I'll be showing you how to cut a covered button shirt. So you can go with me to the cutting table. So I'm going to be cutting a shirt. I'll be talking about different shirts and different ideologies around it. Think about different ideologies around it when we go a little bit deeper into the videos. Although I'm going to do some other short videos that will make you understand some things better. But I want you to know that the very important things you need to know about shirts cutting is the measurement. How you take the measurement. I will also show you that in another video. But for this first video, I'll be using my own measurements. For this one, I'll be using my own measurement to make this shirt, to cut it and to sew it. So the measurements I'll be using, normally we are going to need the chest measurement, the waist measurement. Now the waist measurement is just important for the female shirts. Just important for the female shirts. We need our back measurements. We need our sleeve measurements. That is the hand. Then we need our sleeve round, what some people call round arm. We also need the length measurement and the back and the neck measurement. So although for female shirts, that's when we take in particular actually the waist. But we also know that the waist is equally as important. When we take the bodice measurement, that is the measurement of the body. If the waist is bigger, maybe the person has a bigger waist, that is the stomach area. If the stomach area is bigger than the chest, we will use the waist measurement. That is the biggest part of the body, is what we normally use for the measurement, so that the dress can be comfortable when the person wears it. Now, so there are different types of shirts, but what I'll be making today is we have for the cover, for the button area or the button region of every shirt. Sometimes we could use the covered button. That's where the area where you put your button holes, if it's going to be outside or inside. I also show some short videos that will explain that, but I will just go straight to the measurement now of this shirt I have in front of me. Now we indicate the aspect of the fabric, which is either the front or the back region. And so this is the back of the shirt, the back of the fabric rather, and this is the front of the fabric. Now, and we all know that for male shirts, the aspect that holds the part that holds the buttonholes is usually on the left part, while the part that holds the button is usually on the right part. So if this part here is the back of the fabric and this is the front of the fabric, this side will normally be my left side. This side will normally be my left side. What I will do here is I'll create a line here. I'll just continue from where this stops. I'll create a line just to have a beginning. So for your covered button shirts, this video you are doing now, is it taking this whole place like this? Yes. You are seeing everything.
Yes, sir. Not to the end though,
but just here. Beautiful. Now, so if you are making a covered button shirt. Now whether covered button or no covered button, the principle of the shirt making is the same. It doesn't change. Why is this? Because there's an extension. You see me now, I would bring out that extension. Now that extension varies depending on whether you want to make a covered button shirt or an covered button shirt or a tropical shirt. It doesn't matter, but the process is the same thing. Now, so I haven't designated this line now, just to give a beginning to this part. If it's for a covered, I already said I was going to make a covered button shape. Now we are going to mark out with our tape rule 5 inches. 5 inches this way. 5 inches this way. Now I'm bringing out these 5 inches just to have a beginning, a place to start from. So I haven't marked out 5 inches. I'm going to draw it so it gives me a straight line. And it's very important that your line is straight. So make sure that your line is this line here. I'm going to mark out here. Make sure it is a straight line. It's very important. Now don't forget that this part I'm marking here is the right part. The left part of the shirt that will house your buttonholes. Now, in a bid to get for the right side, what happens is that extension we have for the left side 5 inches, but for the right side will be 2 inches. The left side 5 inches, but the right side will be 2 inches. So you just mark 2 inches here. That 2 inches there will help us to be able to know if our right side is already at 2 inches. So this is the left side. This here is the right side. This here is the right side. This right side is going to house your buttons. So I'll move this gently so that what I'm trying to achieve here is so that my left side is longer by 5 inches compared to my right side. So you can see it. This left side 5 inches wide, while the right side is shorter by 2. That is having 2 inches. So it's shorter by 3 inches. So you can also check that here too. So although the fabric, this side of the fabric is not very straight, so that's why. So once you have achieved that, just make sure that the left side has an extension of 5 inches. It's also be 5 inches wide, and you can be a little less, maybe 4.5 inches, but it's just okay to have it at 5 inches, just to avoid unnecessary problems later on when you begin to do your ironing and preparation. Now, having taken note of that, we need to have a beginning here too. A beginning here. You need to have a beginning here too. So this will be serving as the beginning region on this side, while this line will be starting as the beginning region for this side. Now, the first thing we are going to do, like we all know, is to, from your own personal experience as a fashion designer, first thing we are going to do is to make sure that we have taken our back measurements. Now, my own back measurement here is 17. Now, we divide the back measurement by 2. Dividing the back measurement by 2. Now, after dividing the back measurement by 2, that is 17 divided by 2, you are going to have 8.5. 8.5. Now, from my personal experiences, I've discovered that if I were to just add 5 inches to that back measurement as the sewing allowance, because in shirt making there are many manipulations that go on, and if you are not careful, you can have your back region of your shirt to be very tight, and even your sleeve a bit shorter, because you're going to add your sleeve to your armhole, and it's going to have some effects. So I have found out that the safest thing to do is to add 1 inches allowance, because of the different manipulations that go around in that region. So what do? Back divided by 2 plus 1 inches, that is 17 divided by 2, 8.5, plus 1 inches to give you 9.5. 9.5. Now, having indicated your 9.5, from that 9.5 points, you take in 2 inches. You take 2 inches inward. 2 inches inward. These are 2 inches. Having put out your 2 inches point, you are now going to join this 2 inches point here to the beginning of this point, to this edge, just here. So you do that neatly. So you have that already. And what do you do now? You don't just come here and just use this point, because this point is actually going to be longer than your 9.5 inches. So what do? You mark 9.5 inches here. Can you see that? You see that it is shorter. So if you use this point, it's going to be longer than usual. So you mark out this point here. Now, after designating for the back side, you have done the back. Then what is the next thing you do? The chest region of your measurement. The chest region of your measurement. Now, note that male shirts don't usually have curves and all of those things. It's maybe particularly when you are making a female shirt, you take note of the curves, the stomach region, the hip region. But most of the time, shirts making for male is usually straight, so we don't have problems anyway. Now, what do you do to the chest region, hip region, the waist region? What you do is that you make use of the measurements that you have, the bigger parts, yes, of the measurement. Now, when we are taking a shirt, I will show you anyway in another video. But when you are taking the chest measurement, especially for shirt making, you take the actual chest, the actual waist, and the actual hips, intending to use the bigger aspect. So you use the actual measurement, not the smaller side, but the actual measurement. And you don't usually add unnecessary allowances to the shirt. So I have 39 inches here for my chest, but I am thinking of using 40. So I will just use 40 inches. Now what do? You divide 40 by 4, and you normally have 10 inches. Now, if you want to make a shirt that is quite just free, when you are making a shirt, or when you are making shirts, sometimes when you buy shirts, you might see indications like medium, large, and all of those things. Now, I will tell you what to add when you want to get all of those, especially when you are sewing for a customer that you have not seen or that is not close to where you are. Now, but very important, if you want the shirt to be smart on that person, we are going to add a designated amount of inches we are going to add, which I'll tell you now. But if you want it to be slightly free, just normal, I will also tell you what to add. So, having divided your chest measurement by 4, and I said that I'm going to be using 40 divided by 4. So you can add 1.5 inches if you want it to just be smart. But if you want it to be a bit free, you can add 2 inches. Add 1.5 inches or 2 inches to your actual measurement. Now, if I'm going to add 1.5 inches, which I will be using 1.5 inches, if I'm going to add 1.5 inches to my 10 inches, which I got from dividing my chest divided by 4. That will be 10 plus 1.5. That is 11.5. You also come a bit down here and you mark the same 11.5. Why? You want to get a straight line. You want to get a straight line. Now, I haven't done that. You take note of this, which is very important. Your armhole. Now, for shirt measurements, we would normally use our the units we get from dividing our chest by 4 to get the proper armhole to use. Now, my chest is 40. I'll divide by 4. That will be 10. So my armhole would be 10. That will give me a comfortable armhole. Now, you are not just going to come down and measure 10 from this point here around the back. You're not just going to come down to measure 10 inches. You're going to be getting something else as your armhole, and you'll be shocked. But this is how to get your armhole when you want to get it comfortably. Now, don't forget we are aiming at 10 inches. What do? You just draw this same line, make it come to this line here. Just draw it straight down. You measure whatever you measure from this line down to this point. What you get here is 2.2 inches. 2.2 inches. Now, you take that 2.2 inches that you have gotten from here, you subtract it from your armhole, the armhole you are intending to use, that is 10 inches. What you are going to get is 7.8 inches. So what do? From here, from this point, you mark 7.8 inches. Mark 7.8 inches and you draw it straight down this way. Draw it straight down this way. So like that, what have you achieved? You've achieved this line here plus this line will give you 10 inches. Now what do? You come here. This is 7.8. You divide 7.8 by 2. You divide by 2, trying to get the center of this part. So what you are going to have there is about 7.8 divided by 2.
3.9.
Give you 3.9. Beautiful. So 3.9, you mark 3.9. That's to get the center. Don't go too far deep. So from this center, you mark 1.5 inches inward. 1.5 inches inward. Now this will give you 3 points. Our armhole will be formed by 3 points. Point A here, this point A, point B, and point C. Now I'm used to using freehand, so I don't have a curve set here that could help me achieve that curve. So I will use my freehand. It's also easy when you want to use a curve set. You can use your freehand to achieve that. You can use your freehand to achieve that. So I already have my curve for my armhole. Now the neck region. Now particularly every individual's neck varies. The neck I'll be using for this shirt is neck 16.5. So if it's a bit smaller, let's say maybe the neck is about 14 inches downwards. Now it's not safe to use 3 inches. I'm going to use 3 inches here by 3 inches here. 3 inches here by 3 inches. You draw this, make it a straight line like this, and you just put a curve here this way. Put a curve here this way. Now, but as I was saying earlier, if the neck is less than 16, let's say 14 inches downward. It's not safe to just use 3 inches here by 3 inches. It's going to give you problems. It's going to even give you a bigger neck than what you want. So it's safe to use maybe 2 inches by 2 inches. I'll show you how to achieve what you are going to need later. But this is not going to be ultimate anyway. You still have to open it up, but it's safe to use 3 inches by 3 inches. Now we are getting to the end of cutting the front parts, which we are cutting at the moment. Now my actual length for this shirt is 30 inches. So I'll stay here and mark 30 inches, just to get a straight line. Just to get a straight line, you mark out the 30 inches just to get a straight line. Now you need to get a good curve here. Mark 3 inches here, and you will need a lot of practice to be able to achieve this. And here you go. Now it's either it is a bit short or as much as 3 inches. If not, it will be very difficult for you to get your curve at the down of your shirt. Now we have cut out the front parts of the shirt. Don't forget the back region. What we did to the back region, you can go back to check. After getting the back region, we did some workings around this line that we drew here, and after that we worked on the armhole. I told you how to get the armhole, talked about the length also, and don't forget about these extras here. And I told you that this extra here is as much as this. Why? Because we want to achieve cutting a covered button shirt. So I'm going to cut now. Watch me. You take away the neck region. After taking away the neck region, make sure you notch this part. Notching it helps you note that that place is the beginning of your shirt. You also come here, cut this neck part out, then the armhole region. Normally, if you are cutting it, it usually look very short, but when you wear it, that's when you know if it's sometimes you just discover that it is even longer than where a normal shirt should be on your body. So you cut it neatly. That is very, very important. You also make sure that you notch this part also. So you notch this part. Now neatly mark so I don't begin to have problems with identifying which one is the front or the back. Put this part away. Having done that, we are going to cut the back of the shirt now. The back of our shirt. So we don't stress ourselves. Don't forget that what I used for my shirt eventually was my chest divided by 4. You remember? Chest divided by 4 plus 1.5. That is 11.5. 5. So I'm going to cut the back side. What do I need to do? I'll just fold out on that side of my fabric. I'll fold out another part of my fabric, on that side of my fabric. That can give me double of 11.5. Now this is a little more than 11.5. A little more than 11.5, and I like it so, just to be on a safe side. So you make sure you check the other side or the down part, just to be sure that there are no errors when folding. Having done that, you are going to lay the front part of your fabric. I'm going to lay it on. Don't forget that this side is double, is joined. It's not. We are not going to cut it into two. Don't forget that. So, and it's double also. Don't forget that. Now, having done this, I can choose to use one side of the fabric or both. So that's your choice, depends on how you can handle your fabric. Now, so what do? You bring it on the other fabric this way, making sure that where you notched here and here is lying directly on the beginning of these parts. Is lying directly on the beginning here. This is very, very important. If you do any other thing, now you sabi. So make sure that it is staying on the beginning part. Don't forget where you notched here earlier, lying on the beginning here. Where you notched here is also like that. Now, so what do you do to that? You are going to join. So what do we do? How do we begin cutting the back? This back, this side you cut already for the back part of your fabric. You are going to mark it again on this new part that you have designated for the back side. You mark it out. After marking it out, from the beginning here, you mark 1 inches, and from on this beginning part of the neck, you join it 1 inches. After joining 1 inches, the next thing you do is this. Please follow me. Now look at this armhole that you have joined. Remember that this side was almost designating the middle part. Now you are going to come out. Take note of this. You are going to come down just a bit this way around here. Take note of this. I'm going to cut. Now look at how I'll cut it. From this 1 inches that I designated earlier, I'll now cut it. I'm going to give a slight curve, then a straight line to the beginning here. Then you cut here. Don't be afraid. Just do what you have seen me do, and you achieve the same result. You cut it down this way. You don't have to come down too much. Around after the center part, just come down about 1.2, 1.3 inches. Now, when you do it the first time, the second time, you get the technique around that. Now, after doing that, you draw your front parts of what we have cut earlier. You draw it to make sure that there is a difference of 2.5 inches. You must not forget that 2.5 inches. Your shirt cutting and kaftan cutting is very different. The processes, the different things that we need to take note, they are quite different. So 2.5 inches, you make sure that what you notched earlier is staying directly on the beginning, and down here too. Very, very important. So you draw this away. After drawing this away, you can see that it came out like this. So what do? You continue cutting. Don't worry about whatever shape it gives you. you will see that whatever shapes it gives you will be relevant when we are sewing the part of our shirt. So having cut out that part, you can go back to check if you are confused. Make sure that there is no shift. Very, very important that there is no shift. So you cut out this part. And even cutting the back of your shirt is not as difficult as you might have thought it would be. Very simple if you follow the same process. And if you want your shirt to have, if you want the back side to be, longer than your front. If you want the back side to be longer than the front side, if you want to have a TM shirt or something. Now take note, you start from the beginning here. Just try and give the same shape, and you can want it as long as whatever you desire in your mind, but just make sure that it follows the same shape. You can use a free hand, of course. By practice, your hands will get straight. Make sure that it's not longer than here, that it meets with whatever we have here. So and if you don't want this, you can just cut from here, cut out, and that goes like that. So just do that, cut it neatly, very important. And there you go, you have your shirt already cut. The front side, 2 separate pieces. The back side, 1 piece joined together, and you mark out. Just mark it so you don't have problems identifying which one is the back or the front. Now there's something we call the half back. That's the common name people call it here, the half back. I don't know any other name you can suggest for me. Suggest to me. Now you usually have it at the back of the back, just a small piece. Now for shirts, it's not usually very, very long. Now the technique I'm using to cut this shirt might be very different from techniques you have seen in different places, but I found it to be a very perfect technique, and just practice. You see that it's even easier than some of the ones you watch on YouTube, you watch in different places, that gives you a lot of headache and the likes. Now note that the half back I'll be cutting out now should not be more than 6 inches. Should not be more than 6 inches. If you buy a conventional shirt in the market, you will observe that the back of that shirt is usually about you observe that it's usually very small and short. I don't know if you have observed that. You could go check your conventional shirts you buy in the market. You see that the back is usually very short. That's the case I will call the half back. Usually very, very short. Don't forget 6 inches. Now you lay this on your fabric, and on that folded fabric. Make sure that it's not more than 6 inches. Now, although 6 inches, you have to add, let's say 1 inches, just for the turning, just to turn it in before sewing. So how do I achieve that? From here, from the beginning of the neck here, I'll just measure 7 inches. I said 6 inches plus 1 inch. So 1 inch is going to be used for turning, just to turn in your fabric. So don't forget 7 inches. Beautiful. Now 7 inches. I already have my 7 inches here. So what do? I will just cut it out. I will cut it out. I'll follow what I have already here neatly. I will avoid it having any shifts. I'll avoid it having any shifts. Sometimes it depends on, you're going to see when you are cutting some shirts, maybe the person is very big or the person is small. Especially for the technique I used, I showed you when we were cutting the armhole. We see all kind of shapes. Sometimes you can even see a shape that is as big as this, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. The shape is going to fade in when you start joining, and eventually you have to cut it out just to give you a straight path. But just follow the principle. When I begin to join, you are going to see and understand it better. So I've cut out the front, the back, and the half back. What I will cut out now is the sleeve. The sleeve of my shirt. The sleeve is the hand or the arm, whatever you like to call it. Now, how do I get what I'm going to use for the sleeve? Please take note that to get a very good sleeve, you're going to need first enough fabric. So, and if you are a designer and you like to join pieces of fabric together, there's no problem, but you're going to be following this same principle. So please take note that, of course, you probably already know how to make sleeves. So you fold it into 4 places. You check what you have here. This is 10.5 inches. 10.5. Don't forget that your armhole for your shirts, for the shirts we are going to use, that are already cut out, is 10 inches now. So if this is 10.5 and a little more, almost 11 inches, is safe for the cutting of your sleeve. Now, because if whatever you have here is shorter than your armhole, you're going to have problems, because by the time you start to join, it's not going to be enough for the whole sleeve. So you make sure that you spread out your fabric well here, so you don't have unnecessary impedance to what you are trying to achieve. Stretch out your fabric. Make sure that inside the fabric there's no, just like you might want to use the word plumb. Everything is plumb, and you don't have issues. Now, don't forget what we need in this sleeve cutting is, number 1, our sleeve length. Number 2, our sleeve round or the arm round, the bicep region. So usually this part of your sleeve, this area of your sleeve, and this part. Now, don't forget that some people usually have this part very big, even bigger. Especially for those who gym a lot. So you take note of that part too, and you take the measurement. I have taken my own measurement, and what I have for mine is my sleeve round, this region, my bicep region, I will use 14, although it's a little bigger than my bicep, but it's more comfortable for me. Then this region here, 13, I will use 13, and this cuff region, I will use 9.5. I wouldn't like to use 10. I want the sleeve to be a bit smart. That is the cuff region to be a bit smart. So I'll use 9.5. Usually, even in normal conventional shirts, you see 10, 10.5, 11, depending on if it's large, extra large, blah blah blah. Now, you come to this part, or the whichever area you intend to use as the beginning of your sleeve. You draw out a straight line. Having done that, you take 3 inches from this place. 3 inches from the beginning here. You take 3 inches. Take note of that, 3 inches. You also come to this beginning. After this beginning, you just separate. You need about a little less than 0.5 inches, just a little less. Let's say 0.3, 0.4 inches. You mark it out. So you need that part for something you'll be seeing when we are joining. You know, when you are joining your normal kaftan sleeve, it's different from a shirt sleeve. You interlock your shirt sleeve, so you need this little stuff, you know, to aid your manipulation, whatever you manipulating for your sleeve. Now, we don't usually cut shirt sleeve like we cut kaftan sleeves. So for your shirt sleeve, for this shirt sleeve, this is what you do here. If I have a curve ruler now, I would have just used a curve ruler, but this is what we do. Can you see that? Can you see? As though you are just drawing an arc. As though you are drawing an arc. That's what you do. And you come and you join it to this beginning part. I haven't done that. Don't forget, we are going to use 23. Our sleeve length is 23. So what do? You come here to the beginning. Make sure that whatever you are going to be using for your sleeve length has to start from this second line that you indicated here. You put it there, 23. And in your mind now, this is where 23 ends. 23 ends here. 23 ends here. Now in your mind, you already know what you want to use for your cuff. You can use 3 inches for your cuff. That is the cuff region, as much as 3 inches. I like to use 2.5 inches for my cuff. So how do I achieve 2.5 inches from here? Don't forget my old sleeve, 23. I'll remove 2.5 inches. So from 23, I'll go back 2.5. 1, 2.5. That is on 20.5. I'm not going to just end there. I'm now going to add 1 inches back. 1 inches. If you are someone that you already sew clothes very well before, and you work with kaftans and everything, you already know what I'm doing. So don't forget your whole sleeve length minus whatever you want to use for the cuff. I said 2.5 for mine. 1, 2.5. Then I will add 1 inches back. 1 inches. Your 1 inches is usually going to help. That's 0.5 inches to join your cuff to your sleeve area, and 0.5 inches to join your sleeve back to your bodice, to the body part of your dress. So don't forget, everything we are working with now is 21.5 inches. Don't forget 23, 1, 2.5. So we have 21.5. So we also mark 21.5 here, or just to get a straight line. A straight line. Now, I like to do a lot of manipulation here, But so let me just explain to you now. Normally, this is an adult sleeve. Imagine you are cutting the sleeve of a very young person. Just imagine. And obviously you might not even know what to use here. So I like to teach how to manipulate. How do you go over everything here? How do you walk around it? So this is how to do it. Whatsoever you have decided to use as your round sleeve, that is for your cuff. I said I want to use 9.5 for my cuff. So what do I do to 9.5? I divide 9.5 by 2. 9.5 by 2 will give me about 4.75. So I marked it out 4.75. Now this 4.75 is just for my cuff. Now, remember that when you wear a normal sleeve, a normal shirt sleeve, you discover that you have some pleating around it. Number 1. Number 2, you also know that we have to interlock the side of the shirt. So having put your your cuff, what you want to use for your cuff. If I were to use 10, imagine that you are sewing for a small baby, maybe a small child, a very young person, and the person's sleeve, maybe person's sleeve is about 6 inches. That's the same thing you divide by 2, you mark it. Also take note that you are going to pleat the sleeve area, the cuff area. You're going to pleat, if you remember those pleatings we usually do. So I like my pleats to be around 0.7 inches. About the wideness now. So I put it there, 0.7 inches. After that, I'm going to also add for the interlocking. Interlocking doesn't have to be so much. It doesn't even have to be up to 0.5. So this is about 0.3. I'll add 0.3 for my interlocking. And that's all I'm doing. My cuff, what I want to use for this, how big or how fat I want the pleating to be, and what I'm going to use for my interlocking. So everything gives me 6 inches. Imagine you're doing for someone that is smaller, it can even give you less than 6, it can even give you 5 or whatever you have. So don't forget that. Now, I haven't done that. We're now going to come to the bicep region. Now note that your bicep region is usually around this part here. This part here. All this area, shows your bicep region. So what do? Your bicep, my own bicep is 14. Divided by 2 gives me 7. But I'm going to add 1 inches to it, because after working on all of those things, my interlock and the likes, I like that my sleeve is smart, not too big, not too small. I just add 8 and 1 inches to it. You can as well add 0.5. It depends on how smart the person you are sewing for wants it to be. You also come to that region that has this area, just after your elbow a little. I said mine is going to be 13. Divided by 2 is 6.5. I also add a little less than 1 inch. So I'm adding 0.8 inches now to mine. So that this place is not so big. But it's usually good when I like the feeling when my bicep region is just free. So what do? I just join. Don't forget, you have to be very careful when you join. I'm not going to use a ruler, or I could choose to, but I like to use my free hand. Somehow it works for me. So, but if you are not used to using a free hand, you could use your ruler. So what I'm even doing now, I'm using dotted lines, just to achieve what I want to achieve here now. I'm using dotted lines. Your sleeve has to be somewhat straight. If it's not straight, it's going to give you problems when you are almost done with your shirt, when you are attaching your sleeve to your shirt and doing the finishing. Now, please, I want you to also take note of this. Very, very important. You remember that when we were cutting the front and the back, we indicated that our armhole is going to be 10 inches. Now, if our armhole is 10 inches, it is also safe to do this. Please take note. To come here and measure 10 inches, so that the sleeve round for your sleeve is not so long. It might give you an awful effect if you are not very good at manipulating your sleeve. So what do? We know that the armhole on the shirt is 10 inches. Now, when we are cutting the sleeve, it is also safe to do 10 inches, but add 0.5 inches to yours. So that will be 10.5. So that I haven't done all your manipulation, all your joining. If it's just 0.5 on either side, you can easily trim it up. But when it is too long and you're not careful, it can affect your sleeve. So 10.5, I will be using 10.5. So this is where my 10.5 ends. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to join this to my 10.5 points. So can you see what I have here? Can you see that? Relatively straight. Relatively straight. It's not like this. Or if it gives you any funny shape, you'll be in trouble. You'll be in the soup, because your sleeve is going to give you problems. When you do like this, you know that you have nothing to worry about. So you can go back, watch and watch again, just to get the whole process. So I'm going to cut now. Cut this out. Cut this out here. Can you see that? Now just notch a little. Don't be like some of my friends who notch as if they want to go and buy a car. You notch it little, then you cut carefully from your 10.5 inches point. I told you, cut neatly. Very important. Use a good scissors to cut neatly. Good. You also come here to notch. Come here to notch. After notching, you mark neatly so you don't have challenges later. Now, another thing worthy of note is to cut that opening that usually beside your shirt. Very, very important. And this is how I do mine. I don't know how you do yours, but this is how I do mine. You take whatever is here, you divide it by 2. I have 6 inches. Divide by 2. That will be 3 inches. You now come a little behind it. Remember that this is the middle area of your sleeve. So this 3 inches that gives you a neutral divide. 3 inches on each side. You now come a little behind here. Just a little. Doesn't have to be up to 0.5, just a little. Then you come up by 5 inches. For shirts, it is usually open, very open, by 5 inches. Your usual kaftan can be 4 inches, even can be, some people use 3.5. But here we be using 5 inches. Usually it's 5 inches. Usually 5 inches. And you cut. Good. 5 inches. And that's on that for your sleeve. Now, there's something we call the placket region of the sleeve. The placket region of the sleeve. That's what the plackets. We have the small part and we have the big part. So usually I just cut as much as 8 inches by 3 inches. When I'm ironing, I will remove the parts I won't be using. 8 inches by 3 inches. And the longer part is 8. This area is 3 inches. So I'm not using a tape rule because maybe I guess I'm already used to doing it every now and then. So 8 inches by 3 inches. That's for the big plackets. And for the small plackets, you don't need something so much, but you must make sure that it is longer than the 5 inches you already cut out. So we could just cut off the parts we won't be needing any longer. So, and it's going to be smaller than your usual smaller than the bigger placket. This is smaller side of the placket. So that's that on that. Now what else would I be doing? I would cut out what I'll be using for my cuff region. I'll cut it out. What I'll be using for my cuff region. Don't forget my cuff is 2.5, so I don't need something that is so like so big. I'll just cut it out. If my cuff is 9.5, this should be around, yes, it's about 12 inches. So that's okay for what I want to do. There. Make sure you mark it to avoid confusions later. So I've practically cut out every part that I want to use for my shirt. What is left is the neck region. And for the neck region, I would have to create my collar. After creating my collar, I would attach those collar pieces to the fabric. So you will see how I will do that shortly. So now I'll be showing you how to cut and manipulate your collar. Pick up a pencil. That will make the whole thing comfortable for me. Now I want to show you how to get a collar. Now to get the collar, there are two parts of a collar. You could go and check, go and pick up your normal conventional shirt. Now you will see that you have two pieces in your collar. Number one is the part they call the collarizer. The collarizer and the main collar. The collarizer and the main collar. And most of the time, different climbs use different kind of collars. So you just have to, have an idea. When you have an idea, you will know how to manipulate your collar. So I'm going to cut my collarizer now. My collarizer and my main collar. Now please take note that the size of your collarizer and your collar, they are both very different. And I want you to take note of this, that my neck is 16.5. My neck is 16.5. My main collar will carry 16.5, but my collarizer will carry the measurement of my main collar plus 2 inches. My main collar will carry the normal measurement of my neck, which is 16.5. While my collarizer will carry the measurement of my neck, which is 16.5 plus 2 inches, that is 18.5. Now, why is it that the collarizer will be longer than the main collar? It's because when you check your normal shirt, when you want to button up your shirt, you usually see that there is some designated allowance that helps you button up your shirt when you want to knot your tie. So that extra that is there is that 2 inches. Please take note of that. Now, so what do? This is your collar stay. We have different types. We have the soft one. We have all kinds of collar stays. So use whichever one that is comfortable with you. It depends on how thick you want your neck to stand. You draw a straight line. I don't know if mine is very straight, so yours might be straight than mine. And you also draw a straight line here. So Having done this, what do you do next? You measure whatsoever measurement you want, or how long or how wide, if I were to use that word, how wide you want your collar riser to be also depends on you. I don't want mine to be so long, so I want my collar riser to be 1.2 inches. That's my collar riser, so I mark it 1.2 inches. While my main collar, I want my main collar to be about 2.3 inches. It can be wider than that or bigger than that. It depends on you. 2.3 inches. Having done that, you draw a straight line. A straight line. And don't forget, I told you my main collar. So this will serve as my main collar. This will serve as my collar riser. Now I told you that my collar riser is usually gotten. How do I get the measurement for my collar riser? Usually gotten by adding 2 inches to your main neck measurement. My neck measurement is 16.5. Why my collar? So my collar riser will be 16.5 plus 2 inches. That is 18.5. 18.5. 18.5. You join it like this. You join it. My collar riser will take simply 18.5. Sorry, I mean 16.5. Sorry about that. 16.5. Now, this is about me now. What I want to do now is about me. So it depends on you. I usually feel that those two extensions, that is the 1 inches on this side on the shirt, when we want to button up, I usually feel that when it is as much as 1 inches, I usually feel it is too long. So for me, I usually make sure that I add about 0.2 inches, so that extension, those two extensions on the collar riser, when you want to button up your shirt, those two extensions, so that they are not going to, it's not going to be up to 1 inches. I usually feel it is too long, so I usually add about 0.2 inch. But you can use, you can just go on with the measurement that way if you feel comfortable with it. So since I'm making this shirt for me, that's why I'm just saying that. You might also find it helpful. So what do? I cut out. Just try and cut out carefully. I hope you know that when you use your regular scissors to cut out your stay, it affects the sharpness of your scissors. So these iron scissors I'm using now, I don't usually use it to cut clothes like that again. That's why I'm using it. So I have this one. This is a new scissors. So I know that whatever I'm doing is going to affect. If I use it to cut my stay, it's going to affect my stay. So it's going to affect the sharpness of the scissors. So I just avoid using it. I hope I'm cutting something very straight now. It's possible that you might be able to cut it straight than me. So there you have it. You have your main collar and your collar riser, but that's not all. We have to do some manipulation. So let's start with our collar riser. So that other region, that it's open, I usually like to create a slant, not too much, just little, a slant like this. Can you see that? A slant. Can you see? Can you see that slant? So that this slant is going to indicate the part that we join the main collar to. So then I cut it away. I usually do that so that my neck can have the collar can have a good feel on my neck. Let me find a comfortable way to cut it. So just note that apart from going to the market to go and to buy yourself a professional collar, a professional ready-made collar, if you have the money, you could go get that. But of course, you can also learn how to manipulate your collar in case you are in a climb or you are in a place where you don't have access to that. It's also very important that you know how to manipulate your collar. So I just removed little. There's a way I like my collar to feel on my neck, so I just removed little from that other side. So this side where I removed that very long slant from, the very long one, that part is where I'm going to provide whatever shape I want my collar to have. That's I mean this type of a thing now. So that's where I removed it from. So it can be any shape, can be round, any form you like, so that's it. If you can see that, that's my collar riser. Now to my collar, I fold it into two. Now note that the male collar and the female collar are usually very different. There's usually a significant difference when you are making your male collar and your female collar. So take note of this. For the male collar, I would also make a short video for the male collar, and also get it across to you. This is a typical male collar. You fold it together like this. You mark out 0.5 inches. 0.5 inches this way. After marking out 0.5 inches, you join that 0.5 inches to this point here. That's the edge of this side. 0.5 inches here. You join it to the edge here. Join it to the edge. And you cut. Can you see? Give you a form of a slant form. Having done that, that side where you remove the 0.5 inches from, this side here, this downside, is the side you are going to join to your collar. While this side will be the other side that will fall down. So what do you do to this side? You need to give it a shape, a slant shape. So you take 0.5 from here. You might need a French curve for this. There were some of us who use freehand very regularly, so we can be able to achieve that with a freehand. You might need a lot of practice for this, but it's achievable. I do this every time. So after drawing that out, make sure that this line is straight. Don't do some dangerous bends here. You might be surprised at your outcome. So what do you do now? You cut it out. After cutting out, I bet you have what you need. So this is what you are going to get. This it here. So you can see this pattern. I said I don't usually like it when it is as much as 1 inch. I usually feel it is too long. So I like it this way. So can you see that I have my collar, my collarizer. Then I'll cut my cuff very quickly. Don't forget I said my cuff is 2.5 inches by 9.5. So I draw a straight line. I hope this is straight enough. I draw a straight line this way too. I measure 2.5. Since I need 2 pieces of that. 2.5. 9.5. 9.5. So one piece, and the second piece is two. And I cut out. After cutting it out, I could leave it shapeless, but that depends on you now, whatever you want to do. I believe by now you already have a grip on how to cut your shirt. You already have a grip. So there you go. Your cuff, your collar is already done. So the next thing I'll be showing you is how to prepare your shirt. Prepare it by ironing, and the different details you need to put in place.